You're listening to Greater Good Radio Hawaii. Please visit us online at greatergoodradio.com. Today's guest is Danny LUI, chairman of Authosis Ventures, a venture capital firm and co-founder of China's largest PC manufacturer, Lenovo. So before we go on, you mentioned Guangxi a little bit. Could you explain to our listeners, what is Guangxi?
Guangxi is, what relations you have, who do you know, how close you work with them. But when China started to open up, I don't even speak Mandarin. I was born in Hong Kong, mostly Cantonese, and we use traditional character too, at the college, at secondary school. And it's a tough job for me. I went there, I have to write in traditional character to communicate. And then gradually I learned Mandarin, started to communicate, So first thing I go is to universities because of the professors, and lecturers. They're easy to communicate with because they're more on the technology side. So mostly at the time, my client will be universities and research institutes, and then state-owned companies.
Okay. So could you also continue telling us about how your partner approached you and said this is something that we should do together?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. And since we are selling PCs, we are still a foreign firm operating in China. It's not a local firm, so it's more like exporting, to China, and we sell to our client in China in U.S. dollar. So they send us money by issuing us LCs or wire transfer, and then we ship them the goods, and we also have to service them in China. So we have tons of engineers from Hong Kong and to service it. The cost is pretty high because of traveling and hotel and lodging and all that. And then my partner, they built one product which is very critical to the success, is the Chinese card. Old days, it's not as friendly as the Windows. Now you can handle multinational language and languages. And we have to use a Chinese card to display Chinese character in China because our client, they need that. It's not just English. So they built the
motherboard card, or which card?
They call it a Chinese language card, which is basically put it on like a display card. And then we bought their card, put on our PC, sell to our client in China. Not necessarily the locals, including the World Bank projects, multinational banks. And they bought our PC, put in their card, and sell in renminbi. So basically, it's both via supplier and customer relationship.
So with Lenovo, what do you think was the most important aspect for you guys becoming the largest PC manufacturer in China?
Well, it has been evolved over years, and it's quite a long time. And maybe I can share with you the time I'm with the company. Since we've been distributing the product, so we have client, we have channel, we know what customer need. And so in 87, we restructured the company. Our founding team maintained 40% of the share of the companies, and the Chinese Academy Science basically owning around 60% of the company. And then we grow up, we grow from there as a distribution company. And then we start to build our display card and became one of the largest display card manufacturer of China. And then a motherboard, and then we set up the worldwide distribution channel. At the same time, we still have the distribution business. So, but during the back in the late 80s, early 90s, IBM changed the PC architecture. They called it to PS2 architecture, which is a little different to the old PC architecture. So they caused a lot of compatibility problem, both with hardware and software. And then we say, hey, geez, since then we know the client, and we're building motherboard and on cards, so we start to build our own PC. So that was from the 286 onward. Gradually we build up the market share. At the same time, we are distributing IBM, AST. We were one of the AST distributor in China. We are the largest, and at the time, when they are relatively unknown in the U.S., but they are not number one in China. The reason is that back in the old days, the information is pretty not as transparent with the internet nowadays. And, as if you have a good product, serve them well, and have a reasonable price, and people like it, you can build a very good local brand. Another story too. In the early days, I remember when you go to China, people like the sharp boombox, the big sharp, machine with the tape recorder. I asked him, do you know Sony? No, I don't Sony. I don't know Sony. I know Sharp, because they are early market entry in China. Of course, now they know Sony, right? There's a good story that when the old days, when you know how to promote a product, do it well, you still can have a good market share.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.